It's not every day you walk into your own barn and find 50 complete strangers sipping Prosecco under a chandelier made of mason jars and fairy lights. But I guess life likes to throw curveballs at people with short tempers and a working security system, because that's exactly what happened to me one random Saturday morning. I remember opening those heavy double doors, still half asleep, only to get smacked in the face by a wall of shrieking laughter, industrial-strength perfume, and the not-so-dulcet tones of Taylor Swift blasting from a Bluetooth speaker. There I was, frozen, staring into a scene straight out of some basic cable wedding show, when a woman in a white lace romper pointed right at me and screamed, "It's the bride-to-be." The place erupted, like I just told them the Backstreet Boys were reuniting in my hayloft. Except, here's the kicker. I wasn't the bride or part of the bridal party. I was the actual, very confused, and now mildly infuriated owner of the barn. And I had absolutely zero idea how any of them got inside. Let's rewind for a second. See, I live just outside the suffocating reach of the HOA, barely. My granddad built that barn back when property lines were decided with a handshake and a bottle of cheap whiskey. The barn's old, a little ugly, and the HOAs hated it for years. It's an eyesore, they'd say at every meeting, wringing their hands over community standards. Me? I say it's my property, and if they don't like it, they can go mulch themselves. I mostly use the barn for storage, sometimes woodworking, definitely not secret society meetings or, apparently, uninvited bridal showers. Oh, and it's been closed for months because of pest issue. I had a big, clear warning sign right there on the door, "Do not enter." Active wasp treatment. Apparently, to Angela and Linda, my neon orange warning sign translated to "Welcome, ladies." The Prosecco's on the left. Angela, if you haven't guessed, was the bride. Linda, her older sister, was what you get when you cross a Pinterest board with a freight train and sprinkle in a dash of dictatorship. Together, they're like a two-headed hydra made of rhinestones and passive aggression. I'd met them before at HOA meetings. They're the type who think they're Martha Stewart and Beyoncé rolled into one, just with a lot more delusion and none of the charm. So, how did they end up throwing a full-scale bridal shower in my barn? Well, according to Linda, who, by the way, sauntered over mid-mimosa to explain, my barn was just sitting there doing nothing, so she figured why not. She waved her clipboard at me like a badge of honor. "Oh, we didn't think you'd mind. It's not like you use it." I swear, I nearly blacked out from rage. But instead, I just stood there, arms crossed, trying not to let my jaw hit the hay. Meanwhile, someone in a floppy sun hat asked if I could run back to the house for more ice. I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Sure," right after I call animal control about the wasps nesting right above your head. That got their attention. Angela, flapping her arms like a traumatized chicken, tried to guilt me into letting the party continue. "This is the most important day of my life. You wouldn't understand. You're not even married." As if my marital status somehow revoked my right to private property. Then Linda played her trump card. "The HOA said it was fine. We have permission." Now, I might have grown up on a farm, but I wasn't born yesterday. There is no universe in which the HOA can greenlight a party on someone else's land. But wouldn't you know it, 5 minutes later, here comes Roger, the HOA president, swaggering up the driveway with a clipboard and the kind of smug wave that makes you want to rent a flamethrower. "We thought it'd be a nice community gesture," he says, like he's announcing a bake sale instead of a felony. Something to lift neighborhood morale. I stared at him deadpan. By illegally breaking and entering my property? He just laughed it off. "Don't be dramatic." So I did what anyone raised by a stubborn granddad in an even more stubborn barn would do. I went back inside my house, closed the blinds, and started plotting. Now, I didn't just want to shut down the party. No, I want to make sure they'd never forget whose barn this was or how hard karma could bite. First stop, barn security cameras. Sure enough, there's Linda, picking the lock with a bobby pin like she's starring in a discount Ocean's 11. I downloaded everything. Then I texted Marvin, my pest control guy, and asked about the wasps. His reply? Dormant. Not gone, not dead. Just biding their time. And that, my friends, is when the universe handed me a loaded slingshot and pointed out Goliath's weak spot. That night, after the shrieking and selfie-taking died down, I watched from the barn door as they packed up. Angela tried to hug me. I stepped back, deadpan. You're lucky the wasps didn't swarm today. I can't promise next time. Linda laughed, but I wasn't joking. I locked up behind them and sealed every crack. Then I called Marvin and ordered a very specific follow-up treatment. They'd be back. I could feel it in my bones. In the days that followed, I played the part of the cheerful neighbor, smiling, waving, even letting rumors swirl that I generously lent out my barn. Privately, though, I was setting the stage for Act 2, the return of the wasps. Marvin, bless his twisted soul, was more excited than I was. We didn't do anything illegal. Let's make that clear. In fact, I dotted every I and crossed every T, because there's nothing sweeter than a sledgehammer of justice wrapped in legality. Marvin came over at sunrise, flashlight in hand and coffee in a thermos that smelled like burned rubber in revenge. Still dormant, he said, shining his light on the rafters. But enough noise, enough vibration? That whole colony's gonna go DEFCON 1. He wasn't kidding. I asked if it'd be dangerous. He shrugged. No one's gonna die unless they stand around screaming. But I'd avoid inviting enemies. Noted. I called animal control too. Not because I had to, but because I wanted a paper trail. Just so you know, there are dormant wasps in my barn, and I'm worried about trespassers. They thank me. File my report. Paper trail. Check. Meanwhile, the neighborhood rumor mill was in full swing. Not about the wasps, of course. No, everyone was busy talking about what a great neighbor I was, how I'd cuddle in my barn. I'll let it ride. The trap only works if the mouse thinks the cheese is free. A few days later, Linda texts me, unfamiliar number, asking if the barn's open again next weekend for a follow-up brunch/gift opening extravaganza. Promise we'll clean up this time, she writes. I stared at my phone, half expecting Ashton Kutcher to pop out from the bushes. I texted back, sure, just don't go in before Saturday. Need to air it out. She replied with a thumbs up and a heart. I nearly sprained something laughing. Next step, noise prep. I knew the wasps weren't going to keep calm if Team Bride came back at full volume. Marvin reminded me, if you're nearby when it happens, be ready to run. Once those wasps swarm, it's like dropping Mentos in Diet Coke. I installed a latch on the outside of the barn. Nothing dangerous, just enough to delay the inevitable stampede. Friday afternoon, I see the same parade of SUVs, pastel dresses, and oversized hats inching down the street. Angela's crew was back. Linda posted a boomerang. Round 2, Barn Bay Brunch Bash. I nearly choked on my coffee. Even the wasps were probably rolling their eyes. Saturday morning, I checked the barn. Wasps, quiet but present. Marvin left me a note taped to the wall. Buzz you later. I left the barn doors wide open, let them waltz right in. By 10, they arrived, carrying lattes, balancing pastries, and shrieking like they were on a reality show called Bridal Invasion. Ho edition. From my kitchen window, I watched Angela twirl across the gravel like she was on the cover of a romance novel. Linda barked orders about fairy lights and seating charts, blissfully unaware. When they were settled, I strolled out, waved, and said, hey, just locking up the side gate. Wild animals have been getting in. Linda rolled her eyes. You're such a nature guy. Angela asked for more chairs. I nodded, walked to the barn doors, peeked in, smiled, and gently closed them. Click. At first, nothing. Just laughter, glasses clinking, a toddler dancing near the cupcakes. Then someone must have bumped a rafter, or maybe just got unlucky. One scream, then another. Then all hell broke loose. The barn shook. Fists pounded the inside of the door. Screams reached decibel levels usually reserved for haunted houses and NFL playoff games. The music cut out. Glass shattered. Someone shouted, "They're in my hair." Another, "Open the doors." I waited a beat. Safety first, I said to myself, and then calmly unlatched the door. It exploded open. Women in flower crowns and pastel dresses sprinted across my lawn, flapping at their heads and arms like they were auditioning for a horror movie. Angela sprinted so fast her veil flew off. Linda tripped, face-planted, and emerged with twigs in her hair and a welt blossoming on her forehead. I stood there, sipping tea, watching the chaos like a local farmer admiring his crops after a good rain. Best part? I had the whole thing on video. If you've never seen someone try to escape wasps while holding a three-tiered mimosa tower, let me tell you, it's performance art. Linda ran past me, shrieking something about an EpiPen she didn't even have. I stepped aside, closed the barn door behind her, and smiled. By now, guests were scattering in every direction. High heels dug trenches in my lawn. Someone threw a sun hat at a wasp like she was challenging it to a duel. A grown man dove into the bushes, peeked out like he was in a nature documentary. Angela, makeup ruined, tried to yell at me, but a wasp made her pirouette across the gravel. Eventually, someone dialed 911. "There's a swarm of wild bees attacking us at a bridal shower," she shrieked, which probably sounded like some code for a cult ritual. Police rolled up, lights flashing, no sirens. 2 officers got out, surveyed the scene, and you could tell they were mentally revising their life choices. Officer Mitchell asked, "Did you lock them in?" I nodded, only for safety. Wasps were already disturbed. Leaving the doors open would have been worse. Plus, they were trespassing. I handed over printouts, security footage of Linda picking the lock, animal control reports, pest control records. Even a hand-drawn diagram, "Don't touch angry bugs inside." Mitchell raised an eyebrow. "So you warned them. They broke in. You documented everything. And you locked them in to protect them." I nodded. He turned to Linda. "Ma'am, did you force entry?" Linda went pale. "It wasn't force. It was creatively persuasive access." Mitchell smirked. "You ever considered joining the force? This is the cleanest case of lawful pettiness I've ever seen." Animal control confirmed the wasp's nest had been disturbed. No one was seriously hurt, just a few stings and a lot of wounded pride. Word spread like wildfire. Photos of Angela, mid-scream, hair full of wasps, Linda ducking under a table with a tray of egg tarts, Barnageddon trended online. Roger from the HOA tried to write me up for hosting dangerous wildlife events. I handed him my paperwork, smiled, and said, "Roger, it wasn't an event. It was pest containment. You, of all people, should understand pests." He left without another word. The aftermath? Oh, it was glorious. My inbox overflowed. Some wanted apologies, others money. Linda sent a Venmo request for $843, emotional trauma and dress replacement. I declined, writing, "Consider it a donation to the Wasp Preservation Society." Angela's fiancé, Brad, ended up calling off the wedding after seeing the footage. Turns out, it wasn't her first trespass. A lifestyle blogger wrote it up, "Bridal Swarm, when rustic dreams meet reality." The HOA issued a violation for reckless endangerment. I replied with documentation and a closing line. "Your attempts at intimidation are noted. Further correspondence will be handled through legal counsel." Truth is, I don't have a lawyer, just a cousin in paralegal school and a strong Wi-Fi connection. But here's the twist nobody expected. Suddenly, I had support. Neighbors left beer on my porch. Someone dropped off cookies. A teacher emailed, "Thank you for standing up to them. The HOA's been terrorizing us for years." Then, local news picked up the story. Roger tried to spin it, but watching him sweat through unmonitored WASP infrastructure on live TV was the best payback I've ever had. The lesson? Sometimes, justice doesn't come from courts or cops. Sometimes, it's just one stubborn person refusing to let the entitled win. I ran for HOA board president on a platform of fairness and respecting boundaries. I won by a landslide. My first act? Protecting homeowners from unauthorized events and passing the Angela Clause. Any HOA member who signs off on a trespassing incident gets suspended. And yes, I turned the barn into a local legend, Sting Hall. We hosted a festival complete with "I Survived Sting Hall" shirts, lemonade, and a screening of Waspageddon, the untold footage. Angela and Linda moved out. No going away party. Now, when people ask if the stories are true, I just smile, sip my coffee, and say, depends on who you ask. And yeah, I still keep the wasp suit just in case. So here's the question I'll leave you with. When does standing up for yourself cross the line into revenge? Is there such a thing as too much justice or Is that just what it takes to keep the world honest? Drop your thoughts below. Ever had to teach someone a lesson the hard way? Where's the line between karma and overkill? I want to hear your stories, because if you ask me, the best justice is the kind you can laugh about long after the stings have faded.